All right, what's up, everybody? Hey, Chris with Summit Lane. We're doing another sessions discussion today. I'm super pumped for my discussion today. We've got Rob with
Let's go.
Washie joining us today.
Chris,
Rob,
thanks for
thanks,
having
man.
me. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, no, dude, we were just chatting. We've known each other for a few years now, but we first connected, I think, at an entrepreneur event through some mastermind groups, mutual friends like that. So we've both been in this entrepreneur space for a while, but excited to dig into things with you. I think you've got a really cool story and something that people can really kind of align with a little bit. So maybe give everyone a little bit of background. What's Washi about, and how'd you get into it to start?
Yeah. So prior to me becoming a full-time entrepreneur, I was an elected official in the state of Idaho.
That's
So
right.
I spent over a decade in government. I was a elected county official, had tons of responsibility, 60 plus employees, a $70 million budget I had to manage. I was doing the government 9 to 5 work, sitting at my desk, and I was like, you know what? There has to be something more. I'm not going to be a millionaire sitting at this desk 9 to 5. I could have retired in this position. I'm a friendly guy. Everybody likes me. They'll vote for me. I could have stayed. I was one of the youngest politicians in Idaho. So I could have stayed there for like 30 years. But I just thought to myself, I can't sit here for 30 years and do this job. There has to be something more exciting out there. And so what do? I go into my list of ideas and I pick the toilet seat idea. I picked
Jeez.
I picked the toilet seat idea. I was like, out of all the ideas, no one is doing this. And so I went from 9 to 5 to now entrepreneur trying to figure out how to make a toilet seat.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think for me, I when I started my bad flag company and different things, it's so funny you talk about that list of ideas. I actually was at lunch with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago. Similar, he's an IT guy, data centers, and he's got a list. I think a lot of people have that list on their phone and notes. It's like, oh, I wake up in the middle of the night, I've got this idea for a business. So is that something you always had? Like you were always just, man, this is an idea, and you put it down in your phone, and like how long was the list? How long were you kind of coming up with ideas like that?
Dude, it's the curse of the creator.
Yeah.
I see the curse because everywhere you go, oh my gosh, there's an idea. Here's an idea. And you have so many ideas that you can't stick to one.
Yeah.
But I have had this list for probably a decade. And the list goes, I probably have over 100 business ideas or more on this list. So anytime I'm somewhere and I think of something, I made sure I wrote it down. I made sure I wrote a note about it so that 6 months later when I come back, it's like, oh yeah, this idea kind of connects with this idea. They can merge together. This could probably be a good business. And so I've always had the list of ideas, and Washi was top of the list for me because nobody was going into the stall or into the space and innovating in that space. And so when I created Washi, it was ultimately to get rid of toilet seat covers. Now, everybody knows that toilet seat covers suck. They don't want to use them. Flimsy paper. They're like gift wrapping paper. And, I had the idea came when I took my son to the bathroom at an airport. He didn't want to sit on a toilet seat cover. He was 5. I tried to lift him up on the seat cover and he was kicking, he was crying. I was like, so I went to the sink, grabbed some soap and some paper towels, and I cleaned it for him so he could sit down. He had to sit down, right? And I was like, there has to be a better solution than this. And so that's why I invented Washie, the commercial toilet seat, is to sanitize the seat before you sit down.
Yeah. That's amazing. No, I think that's the ultimate. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, again, that list that they come up with, there's problems, there's products, there's ideas that they come up with. So the big question I have for you, that I think a lot of this is where a lot of people get stuck. They have the list. It's how do you actually get started? Especially because you and I both know, like your business with Washi is similar to my flagpole business, where you have to then invent a physical product. You know, that's a big thing, right? And especially going from like I'm an elected official, I've never done this before. Like there's a lot of things you've got to learn for the first time. So how did you take that leap? And what was that like? Like I'm sure you went through all kinds of different iterations and this one didn't work and that one didn't work. So maybe high level walk us through what that was like.
Oh yeah, 10 years ago there was no Claude. So I couldn't ask Claude how to make it. I had to figure out with Google and YouTube. And so the first when I had the idea, I knew that the it needed a dispenser inside of the seat. I needed to build a dispenser inside of a toilet seat. So, man, I don't recommend this, but I went and stole a dispenser from Burger King.
There we go. I love it.
So the, so I apologize, Burger King. I know the burger. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna I'm gonna go replace the
Repay
dispenser
your
one day.
dispenser.
It was already loose, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
take this thing. So can you imagine? I was like, I need this dispenser, this soap dispenser. So I took one from Burger King, and then I went to Home Depot. I bought some toilet seats from Home Depot, started drilling holes. I got some tube. I try to connect the dispenser to the seat. And so for the first version, I had to build it. The reason I had to build it because I had to convince my wife that this was a good idea. So I was in Idaho in my cold garage at 1 o'clock in the morning trying to invent this toilet seat while I was an elected official. I didn't quit the job first. I was doing it, on the weekends at night.
Yeah.
And so I invented it first so I could see how the process worked, what I needed to have in the seat. And then second, I went and found me a manufacturer. I went and found a dispenser manufacturer that could help me build it and design it. And obviously, the best dispenser manufacturers are overseas in China. And so I went to China and I had to go find me this dispenser maker to make the seat.
Jeez. Yeah. No, I mean, it's amazing, especially when you're in your garage and you're like by hand. I remember some of my first prototypes were using all kinds of weird things that I found at Home Depot. And it's like such a terrible way of trying to build a product, but it's like, what else are you going to do? You're in your garage. And at least for me, it helped me kind of realize like I had to kind of try things, and realize, oh, this is going to break or this isn't going to work this way. And that was how, I ended up at my final product. So I'm sure you went through a bunch of different variations where you're like, oh, this is a good idea. And you tried it and you're like, nope, that's not going to work this way. And you had to
Right.
keep kind of going back and forth.
Yeah, you should see the first prototype. The first prototype looks like one of those handicapped toilet seats, like, way thick. I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't gonna work commercially. It just is way too big. It doesn't look right. And so I went through 9 prototypes. And each prototype is expensive. Like the first prototype was like 2,300 bucks. And so every time I had to make a new version, make sure it was commercial grade. The hinges were strong enough. We use this bottle. This is how we make our money, and so this bottle goes into the seat. I had to make sure that everything fit snug. It was I went through the 9 prototypes, and we finally found one that worked. But to get there, it took me over 3 years to build
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Um, it took me 3 years for a reason, though, and I tell this to people that always ask for advice. It's time versus money. If you don't have the money, it's going to take a lot of time for you to get this idea going. If you have the money, it's going to take a short amount of time because you can go find the experts to get it done quickly. It's going to cost you a lot of money, like in engineering and in design. But if you have the time, yeah, I mean, if you have the money, it's not going to cost you a lot of time. But if you don't have the money, this is going to be a long journey. I don't knock any route because I learned for 3 years on how to build a product, and now I think I'm an expert at building products. I can build a product like in a month. If I see the plastic, if I see how it works, I know where to go. I know who to get as my engineer. I know the CAD designs, and so it took me 3 years of schooling, basically what it was, instead of me just paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to companies to build it for me.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. And I think it's almost required, I think you lose a lot if you were to just go out and pay a bunch of engineers from the start, you know, you personally don't get that schooling that you just mentioned and you miss out on a lot. I remember talking to like our mutual friend Will and some others who had different ideas of things that they want to do. And one of the things that I would tell people often is like you really just have to start. Just start working on it, start taking those first steps and regardless you're going to learn, but a lot of people get so wrapped up around like I have to build kind of that final product and then I can go to the market with it or I have to solve all the different problems and answer all the questions. Um, but like you just described, I learned the most from just jumping into it and building and working and failing and like, oh, that's not going to work. I mean, you talk about prototypes. I remember I had some initial designs that I thought, oh, that's going to work. And I didn't thoroughly test it, but then I ordered the minimum quantity from the manufacturer, spent 5, 6, 7 grand on this stuff only to get it and go test it and it failed. And I had all of this inventory or product that literally I just threw in the garbage because it was worthless. Right. And it's like, I wouldn't have learned that lesson of I really need to thoroughly test some of this stuff before I make those initial purchases if I hadn't done that. It was really painful, obviously, but like sometimes you just got to jump in and do it and then you'll learn and that'll really help you moving forward.
Oh, the hard lessons. Like, so, your hard lessons. I'm glad you said that because I've gone through those same lessons, especially in a physical product. A lot of the entrepreneurs that I meet are in tech,
Yeah.
in different spaces. But when you're in physical product and you make a mistake and there's a little manufacturing defect that will bust the seat or, oh my gosh. So inventory, I've had thousands and thousands of dollars because I rushed. I was like, okay, this is ready. Give me 500 units, 500 toilet seats. Send over 500 toilet seats, and our seat is smart. So, oh, the PC board is not communicating, the sensor, and they're all dying. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have 500 units that I don't know what to do with. I have to go open them all up, fix them, and it's so the product world is definitely one of you you have to fail. There's this thing with entrepreneurs these days in these all these TikTok videos. Oh, fail, you gotta fail, 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 which is true. You have to fail to learn your lessons. But now it's I think out there in the media, it's like, oh, it's just a saying now. But
Yeah.
man, to the guys that go through it, oh, there are some nights when I'm like just almost about to cry and just say, why did I waste so much time doing this? And it's failing, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it is a true thing. It is a true thing that you have to go through. And at those moments, it sucks. But now I kind of am a stronger, smarter entrepreneur. Like, oh, I'm not doing that no more.
Yeah.
Like I am never going and doing that anymore. So lessons learned.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. I think I've learned in life, but especially with business, there's going to be some painful lesson on the horizon at some point, but hopefully you've learned from those specific ones and you don't, do it that same one again. But, I think that just comes with it. So as you get into the bigger markets and bigger opportunities, like there's going to be some challenge or some mistake that you're going to make, and that's inevitable, but hopefully you've learned enough. Maybe tell us a little bit about where you are now. So, I mean, you've gone through a ton of different iterations and challenges. I've seen some exciting posts from you. I think I saw something about Kickstarter and all of that. So, like, where are you now? Where's the vision? Has your strategy changed at all? Commercial, residential, like how you're selling. Just what are you working on now that you're excited about and everything?
Yeah, so our commercial business, we do a lot of business in the Midwest and in the South. Gas station chains have been our core business
Mm.
because everyone knows that a gas station needs a washie. And so we do a lot of business there as the B2B side grows. I mean, everyone out there, B2B is the slowest sale I've ever had to experience in my life, especially government, because you have to go through this long process of convincing them, and then you have to go to RFP to go through these bids, and then someone else gets fired, and then you got a new guy in there. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we used to be in some, well, we are in some airports in the West, government facilities, and then we try to go into convention centers and gas stations. And so that's our core business. And as that continues to grow at a slow, steady pace, I've always heard from our comments, from people who are reaching out to us through our surveys, I need one for my home. I need one. And so Washie, the commercial isn't really for residential spaces. It carries this cartridge of 2,000 uses. It's pretty big. It doesn't fit on a residential bowl versus a commercial bowl. And so I designed, let's go, Washie, the residential seat. And so I've been, this has been on the list for me for about 3 years, and I've been slowly designing it. And so, compared to our other seat, this is the residential version, nice and sleek. It does the same thing. It dispenses sanitizer on the seat, so you can sanitize the top surface of the seat. So, like, if you have boys in the home, I mean, men who don't put the seat up, this is a game changer for moms. But I think our biggest feature is this nozzle here that's below the seat, and the nozzle sprays solution into the bowl before you go, and so it coats the inner walls of the bowl, and so and they call it charticles. Everything flushes down, and it also smells good. So you push a button, it sprays into the bowl, and then smells really good, and it helps clean the bowl. And so this is I think this is the game changer for our company as well. We have a a steady business with our B2B side, and it's growing through distribution. But for our newest product, Washie Home, this is where we come into B2C. Nothing like it on the market. I have, secured all the patents that we need for it, and so we're
Sweet.
launching it in a
Yeah.
couple months.
Jeez, that's amazing. So is it like the bowl stuff? Is it kind of like it almost feels like it's a combo of like the poopery product and like a cleaner?
So it's product of this, Poopery,
Yeah.
right? And then it's also a cleaner.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
cleans the bowl every time you go. So you don't, you moms clean the bathroom, or moms and dads clean the bathroom like maybe every 2 weeks, right? This cleans the bowl every time you flush.
That's amazing. You know what it reminds me of? On my software consulting business, I do some work with Pura,
Yeah,
and
exactly. Same
you know,
model.
yeah, they have the hardware device that you purchase, and then you get the scents that are, subscription. I'm sure you've
Yep,
already thought about that, where it's like, hey, pick your scent. We'll send it to you every 30 days or whatever.
right.
Like that sounds like an amazing business model. And I mean, it sounds like you had like, hey, eventually we'd love to get into residential, but our main idea, like, geez, like going back to your original use case with your son, you know, airports, gas stations, things like that. That's where this really, and then as you've gotten into it, you've realized like, oh, it's really hard to sell through the government channels into the airports and all of these kinds of things. I mean, it's amazing how much you have to change directions and be flexible, or what your original idea is turns out to be maybe not the right one or the biggest one. Like for me, we were talking before, I created the flagpole for football tailgaters and people that are fans and things. And then I found out, well, actually, there's a huge market of people that are patriotic and holidays and Fourth of July and all those kinds of things. And it might not be what I originally created it for, but people really like it for this. So okay, let's start working on it. And so you've had to make some changes, or you've seen some things as you've tried to sell to different markets that have kind of caused you to change directions a little bit. It sounds like.
Yeah, you have to pivot, man. If you don't pivot, if you don't see it coming, and you don't start moving into what people really who really want the product for, then you're gonna die quickly. You have
Yeah, you
to.
can't get
Yep.
married to your original idea. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck there too with the egos. I used to be that guy. In the beginning, there was a lot of advice that was thrown my way, and I was so stuck and narrow-minded on my idea and this is going to work. And half of the time I was right. Half of the time I was like, "Oh, I should have listened to this dude. This dude actually knew what he was talking about. I just wasn't taking in the advice." And so for me, pivoting and bringing on another lane of products for us is how we have to grow and try to, get my investors a huge return on their money. It's not like, one day, because I'm a creator of things, you're probably the same way, too many ideas. I will get the next idea and move on and do my next thing, right? And so I want to build Washie up, and so either that is acquired or we find someone else to take me over, take my place as CEO. But you have to keep pivoting, you have to keep changing, moving so that the business grows.
Yeah. No, that's really amazing. I think, and then as you get into the residential space, trying to sell to consumers, there's a whole nother world of crazy stuff that you're going to have to figure out and
Yeah.
master. And you know, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
exactly. If so, the B2C world is pretty new to me. we're on we're running ads right now, and the amount of money that is going into ads, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
this is a lot of money. But then over time, now I can see what these ad guys are doing and how the ads are now working. And so it's definitely a different world from marketing B2B to B2C.
yeah.
And so yeah.
It's and that I had to learn that, and I'm still learning. I think this year we'll spend $1 million on meta ads, and it's like to your point, you see it and you're like, what the heck? But it's when you get into certain verticals, like, okay, we want to sell to the consumer. Well, okay, if you want to do that, you have to be on social, and that's running the ads and doing those kinds of things, influencers and affiliates, and you got to learn the hard way and figure it out, and it's kind of the game you got to play, and then you'll have customer support and just all of that stuff that's a different dynamic than what you're used to on the commercial side. But you might like the pivoting you're talking about, you might discover like, hey, this is really how we're going to grow and blow up as a business, and the commercial's okay and that's going to stay whatever, but like now this is
This
huge, like
yeah. I'm praying, please, please, Jesus.
so tell me about the Kickstarter thing. So is that I think I saw something that it goes live in 60 days or something like that, right? Like, so how did you get into that? What attracted you to that model, and how do you plan on using that with kind of the vision for the future here?
Right. So I kind of looked at the calendar and design and manufacturing, and we still have some time to complete the design and start making molds and those types of things. And then I always looked at how Nomadic launched their products. One of the founders, John, he is like Kickstarter expert, and so these guys are launching Kickstarters, doing $1 million on Kickstarter every launch. And so I'm thinking that this would be a great way for us to get the product at the cheapest rate to our early supporters, continue to build the product because it's not ready yet. I'm not going to wait till March of 2027 and start selling. We can start getting some pre-orders now at a good rate. And so I felt like, hey, this is a good way for us to start. Get some momentum, get some ideas out there too. We have a group that have already signed up for the product, and we're showing them what it does, how it works, and we're getting some feedback on, hey, some little changes here and there. And so it's definitely, I've never done a Kickstarter before, but we have a pretty good team. A lot of guys that have worked on Kickstarters before are working on our project, and so yeah, it launches September 22nd. And what I'm doing on LinkedIn, I'm doing 60 days of lessons learned. All the lessons that I learned on trying to build a product from my garage to actually in the market, that I think can be valuable to guys out there that are trying to be entrepreneurs, trying to build a product that they don't have to go to those through those lessons that I learned early on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing. I'll be really interested to see how the Kickstarter does. I've watched a lot of those, but I've never participated in one myself as far as like trying to put a product out there or whatever. So I'll watch the Washie
Yeah.
experience and see how it goes for you, because it seems like that could be a really great model to launch a new product or whatever and get people excited about it. So far, has it been, I mean, it seems like it's gaining momentum and everything for you.
Yeah, we're only in about 3 days and we have 700 reserved.
Wow.
So it's going good. While these are through ads, we're having people put down their email and say, I'm interested in the product. And so we use a system called Launch Boom as well, and they help Kickstarters kind of launch and give them the path. And so they have this reservation funnel, and it's pretty good stuff. And so if you're out there trying to figure out how to work a Kickstarter, Launch Boom is definitely a place to go to.
Sweet.
And it's helped us. But yeah, man, it's exciting new venture for us. It's
Yeah.
exciting times for us, you know?
So when do you, I guess, so they're going to help, the Kickstarter goes live. You get as many kind of pre-sales as you can through that campaign. And then when do you forecast to have kind of that residential product like ready for the market for the Kickstarter people and then just like the general marketplace?
Yeah, so the product for the Kickstarter backers will be delivered March of 2027. And
Okay.
so they'll have it in their homes March of 2027, and then we'll start running inventory, continue to do pre-sales. We'll probably be direct first, and then we'll go to maybe Amazon or some other. I don't know if we're going to go retail right away. We'll just
Yeah.
be direct, and so grow slowly because this is new for us. But yeah, that's just exciting times, my friend.
It is. Yeah, that's amazing. So if you want to have them delivered March 27, you need to have kind of that buttoned up and products done being manufactured and delivered to you by
January.
January. Yeah. Do you bring everything into like a facility here in Utah and then fulfill out of there?
Yeah, we have a 3PL in Spanish Fork, and that's who does our commercial product. And so they send out pallets of. So the difference on B2B and B2C, B2B, we're sending out pallets of product to facilities. So they don't order onesie twosies. And so now we're going to B2C. Okay, a home is going to order one or two seats, and so now we're
Yeah.
going to be packaging and fulfilling product. There's probably going to be returns, probably be customer support. So all those things that are coming, yeah, it's definitely new for us. And we'll get some people on the team that can help us. But yeah, it's definitely a different path than B2B that we've been used to.
Right, right. Do you have do you use Shopify for your site right now or
Right, we use Shopify.
okay. Have you looked into Shopify Collective at all? Are you familiar with that?
Not yet.
So Shopify Collective is this really cool feature on the Shopify site that allows you to sell third-party products on your Shopify store or vice versa. Like let's say I had a store of home goods or whatever that I was selling my own products and I wanted to add a Washie product to my website. You connect behind the scenes using Shopify Collective, and then when I can list any products you give me access to, you negotiate whatever the buy rate is for me as a reseller. And then when I have my customers buy, let's say my other products, and they add a washi to the order, the order comes into my Shopify, but then it's sent to your website, so your team fulfills it and ships it out like normal, and then I get my money as my buy rate, and you get your cost, and it's totally seamless and like, so it's really amazing if there's people again that have like complementary websites. Maybe there's affiliates or influencers that have a website that want to add your product line. You use the collective and they can literally within 2 minutes like add your products to their website and people can start buying through their stuff or vice versa. Like if you had again, complementary products to what you guys sell, and you wanted to sell those on your Shopify, you just do the same thing, and now you have a bunch more products instead of you having to go and
Yeah.
host them and build them and all that. So that's something that might work in your space.
Well, that's good. That's good info. Because we know that there's a lot of influencers, especially moms and women, that are in the
Hmm.
bathroom space selling
Totally.
bathroom decor, bathroom or organic toothpaste, or toilet paper, all those things that there's this new product, bamboo toilet paper, and trying to
Ah.
save the earth, and so Washie is kind of the same thing. Is our solution is septic tank free. It's organic. It smells good. It's not harsh chemicals that you're using to clean, and so we'll definitely use that feature. That's
Yeah.
that
No, that's
that's
amazing.
kind of genius. Yeah.
Well, and then figuring out, like you said, all the influencers and everybody like going through TikTok and all the different channels that keep popping up where you're like, okay, how do we enable all the influencers on TikTok to start selling washi, for example? Like there's just all these new things you're gonna have to figure out and start playing with, and some will work and some won't, but that's kind of like the general lesson that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I got your number now, Chris. So I'll be.
I figured out some of it, but I think that's the point too, right? Like you find people who have done things like this before. There's a lot of that. That's I think a general theme with entrepreneurs is that like so many of them are just open books. They're like, hey man, I've done this before. I learned those hard lessons. Totally happy to help you out. Help you avoid some of those pain points. I know you've been like that, and people that I know are like that. So trying to find people who have kind of climbed that mountain before you, like, hey, what path do I need to take? Most entrepreneurs are pretty cool like that.
Oh, that's exactly it. And especially for the journey that I've taken, and just speaking from my own experience, I wish I would have had the experts or the people that had some expertise in my field to help me walk through the path. A lot of the people that I brought onto the team, bless their hearts, they did their best, but they had never launched a product before. They had never sold to B2B before. They had never managed a company that is in, toilet seat sales. And so it was hard, man. It was so hard to figure these things out. And once I learned those hard lessons, not to do them again, I wish in the beginning I would have just found some people that had some expertise in the field that would have pushed me along much quicker than me hiring a guy that was really motivated, however, didn't know the path. He's just me and him are walking the same path. We don't know what to do,
Yeah.
and we're both motivated, but we don't know what route to take. And so, one of the lessons learned is at least find someone who's walked that path so they can guide you.
Yeah. No, I think that's an amazing piece of advice for anybody trying to build something new or start something new. Like find two or three people who have done similar things. If you're trying to sell retail, go find somebody who has a business selling retail or online or commercial, or they've built a product or whatever, because there are just certain standard universal principles, skills, lessons that those people will have learned that they can share with you that you don't have to learn the hard way. You've got to learn them, but there's a lot of pain you can avoid if
No pain, no gain, my friend.
Yeah, got it. You got to go through it. Now, this is really amazing. I mean, I think for everybody, who doesn't follow you on LinkedIn, you post a lot of content on there, so that's a great place to follow you and kind of follow the Kickstarter. Obviously, you can go to Kickstarter and follow the process and the launch and everything, and sign up to get your residential seat and that product. Do you post content anywhere else other than LinkedIn?
Um, we're doing a lot of content on IG and Facebook now because that's where most of the buyers that we see that are reserving seats are coming from, and
Yeah.
figuring out the age groups now. And so we're on IG and Facebook, so you can just look up Washie or me, Rob Poleki. But yeah, open book. For me, the goal is to give as much value to guys that are trying to build businesses, build products, everything that I've learned, and so they can see the process and then create some value and maybe some people to come watch what we're doing.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It's been fun to follow the story and see you guys progress. And it's like, I think it's such a great example because your product is one that I'm sure there's been a lot of people who have had a solution to that problem on their list of ideas, right? And so you're
Yeah.
the guy that like actually did something with it, went through all the pain and time and effort to try to build something. And so to be able to have you be in that open book and kind of share your journey, I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that. Before I let you go, I wanted you to share the story of your shirt with Glad there. We talked about it a little bit before, but I think that's a pretty powerful story too for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, man, my man Glad, dude. Glad was a special dude. He was a good dude. Glad a few years ago passed away. Glad was an entrepreneur. He was on the same path as you and I, trying to build a business. Um, Funny dude. He had a great personality, and along the way, he ran into some roadblocks, and unfortunately, Glad passed. And I try my best to always take Glad with me. Glad is one of the guys that I looked up to when I first moved to Utah. He was on stage at Silicon Slopes presenting for $250,000 prize, and there was like only four guys up there, and he had made it. He had a speech impediment, and he had an accent, and he kept going. This dude just was fearless. Unfortunately, he passed, and then along the way, I always look back at Glad and like, dude, if I give up now, if I freaking give up, and all the lessons and the years that I put into this guy would be upset with me. So I always got to take him with me, and yeah, man, make sure that he doesn't his name doesn't go in vain. So shout
Yeah,
out to everyone that knows Glad.
that's amazing. No, thanks for sharing. I think I can definitely relate. I think any entrepreneur has been through hard times, challenges, things that you never expected that you'd run into. There's lots of opportunities where you want to give up or you want to stop or you question yourself. you know, Not everything is going to work out. You're not always going to be successful. You're not always going to be able to solve the problem. But, like you and I have learned, a lot of times those challenges are those learning opportunities and they're going to help you with something down the road. And so, you know, never give up, never, you know, let yourself get to that point. I think having people in your life, like we talked about, mentors, examples, people that you can lean on, having those people, that's critical when you're in those difficult times as well, right? Because they've all been there and they can let you know, like, hey, we got through it. We've been there. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be successful or this idea is going to work out or this product's going to take off or whatever. Um, but regardless of how hard it is, you know, it's never enough to give up on yourself and let yourself get to that point.
One thing about being an entrepreneur, man, it's a lonely world out there. It's a tough world, especially if you have a family, you have to provide for your family. You don't know if when the next check is coming in, POs are overdue, and you're going to the mailbox to check for checks, and it's a hard life. Sometimes you get down, and it's in the dumps, and so for everyone that's out there that's having a hard time that goes is going through, because you're going to go through it. Everyone's going to go through it. You just got to find some people to help bring you back. A lot of the podcasts that I listen to is how I built this, and then Gary Vee has been like inspirational to me. And so, if I'm ever down in the dumps, I just go listen to a podcast, and I'm back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's some good stuff out there. And I think, anybody else that's trying to build something or you're struggling with different challenges, reach out to me. Rob's been great. I met him again years ago and I think you gave me your phone number and, we were texting and find people like that you can connect with that'll help you and make things a little easier for you because everyone's going to go through it. So. All right, man. Well, this was awesome. Thanks for spending some time with us and kind of diving into your story and what this experience has been. I'm going to be super excited to follow this Kickstarter program and hopefully this residential vertical for you just totally takes off and you guys kill it.
And Chris, thanks for having me on the show, man. Appreciate you, bud.
All right. See you guys.